2,000 delegates, including government leaders, private sector and stakeholders, under the theme, Building Resilient Agri-Food Systems in Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda as the country prepares for the extraordinary summit of heads of states that will be running in Uganda, and that is the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, which is a continental initiative aimed at eliminating hunger and reducing poverty in Africa through agriculture. Now that is the CADIP summit that will be kicking off in Uganda, here in Kampala, to be specific, at the Speak Resort and Convention Center in Munyonyo, where we are expecting over 2,000 delegates, and these will include heads of states from about 55 countries or members of the African Union. This is an African initiative, specifically and purposely to see how best we can promote agriculture and fight hunger or end hunger come 2025 in Africa. I'm so interested in the theme that is building resilient agro-food systems in Africa. And one of the guests we had, that is Agnes Chirabo, mentioned on technology. Now, every time I hear people talk of technology, one man comes to my heart and to my mind, though he looks at technology on a higher advanced, because the guest said if we are to get there, we must move away from these normal agricultural tools we are using, this local. The world is moving. We must go to issues of better technology, better equipment. And guess who comes to my mind? That is the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, Professor Rollins, because he's one person who there is a way he looks at technology almost in everything. And nowadays he talks about the artificial intelligence. Even in agriculture, he talks about this. Well, I'm with him on issues of education, but because of this summit, first we shall dive a little bit into this. Professor, good morning and welcome to the show.
Mr. Chirabo, good morning. I just heard you hosted Agnes Chirabo. Is that your sister?
No.
Mr. Chirabo, Agnes Chirabo. Anyway, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Uganda. As always, I am Lawrence Muganga, and I'm your educator in this country. That is my commitment. The 2024 ended, and we want to pick it up from where we ended and try to educate the country. The little we can, I know you are listening, we are listening, and we deserve better. So as a country, and this is our responsibility. It is not anyone's responsibility alone. No, you cannot wake up and say, oh, government did this, oh, so-and-so is doing this. No, it is our singular responsibility, every one of us, to know that we are educated well. Because a good education will make this country.
Now, Professor, we are having this extraordinary summit here, and the focus is more on agriculture. But when we look at the declaration, one of the declarations, now, or the plan, let's say, for African countries for the next 10 years, one of the plans there is to end hunger in African countries by 2025. And experts like the lady we just had are looking at technology as one of the tools that we can use to end or to achieve this. Professor, how can technology, because I've known you so much into technology, though you're more complicated when you go to artificial intelligence, but do you think technology can be a tool that can get us there?
Yeah. First of all, let me thank government for having lobbied to bring this summit in Uganda. That's what we should do. Uganda is the right country, because I don't think we face so much hunger like other African countries. Recently, someone told me that it's only in Uganda where you get out of your house with nothing in your pockets and you come back drunk. if you're a person who drinks. So that means Uganda, we are not really, we are not yet there, I mean, where we want to be, but we're not doing badly in terms of food. Of course, there are some people who really need help. If you go to Karamoja, you go where there are still places where hunger is real. So, and we pray that that changes as well as we fuse in advanced methods of really farming. So, but this is what, to come back to your question or observation, and in line with this summit, and this is where I call upon all Ugandans. This is, the time is now, it is 2025. We should desist or abandon using our grandparents' methods, okay, or solutions to solve the problems of their grandchildren or great-grandchildren. It's not going to work. You cannot be choosing a hoe and investing in a hoe or hose when they are tractors. You understand? You cannot be choosing to invest in hose when there are drones that can carry out irrigation. You cannot be using jerry cans to irrigate a 20-acre whatever farm when there are other means facilitated by technology that can do it better. So, mind shift. We need to think anew. We need to think like a renewed nation. Okay, so there are ways. So we are talking about technology here, and you've just mentioned AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Now, if, for example, government made it like intentional, prioritized to invest in artificial intelligence. Now, you know, the world we live in today, people who are watching us, I want you to know that a human being, in terms of intelligence, has been relegated to the number 2 position. We are no longer that intelligent. The machine is more intelligent. So now, the machine can think for us. But the only thing we can do is, and it is very hard for us to really ever take that position again, unless if we say that we have chosen to ban this machine, eliminate it out, the machine, the artificial intelligence, out of our normal lives as a people of the world. That's not going to happen. We can choose that as Ugandans, but America will not choose that. China will not choose that. Other countries will not choose that. So we will remain inferior. So we don't want to remain inferior. So therefore, we have to walk that talk and then even be better than some of these countries. So therefore, if you look at, if we've been relegated to number 2 in terms of intelligence, so we need to find a way of learning how to use this machine so it can deliver us the results. Okay, so now the results are that if you use AI and the country has adopted it, of course its education is another thing. We can talk about that, right? Now it can look at, one, it is going to save us money. It is going to be very precise in terms of you applying fertilizers, for example, that are very scarce, like in a massification, in massively everywhere. AI can tell you that in this space, don't put fertilizers. Put within these plants, they lack these nutrients. So in other words, you are precise on where to apply fertilizers, where to spend, to really irrigate, put more water, all right? So, and which seed is going to be more productive. Okay, this is going to grow faster, your yield is going to be times 10. So AI can tell us these things. So if I hear this summit happening, and there are no technology experts that, in this sense, that have been brought on board, and if the discussion is going to really carry grand and great-grandfathers, grandmothers' solutions and methods.
Because it has planning for generations.
Yes, it is planning for generations to come. Okay? But if you're still thinking of the methods we have been using, then you can equally stay home and don't have this discussion, because the world we are really going to, or where we are, even what is coming tomorrow, like as I speak right now, tech companies are coming up with new solutions. By the time I exit this studio, there are better new solutions that I've imagined that I didn't know about. So we cannot sit here and discuss what happened in the last 2 decades. No, we have to rethink how we really do this agriculture. So now, again, technology can be able to tell us how much food we can grow, such that we have enough for our own consumption, and some of it we can even sell beyond. So, so technology is here to help us. Okay, sometimes a farmer, a subsistence farmer, may not have the ability to have a tractor, but can afford a drone. Okay, or government can facilitate, say, 20 drones per sub-county. And these sometimes can carry out like precision irrigation in this particular area. So these drones can identify, can be flying over a particular plantation to tell you that this crop has been affected by particular diseases.
I've seen that work in some countries.
Yes, particular pests and...
this will what?
Yes, so that AI will really detect that by flying that drone over there, right? So if you have 20 in each sub-county, government can afford that. So you're going to really, instead of losing the entire plantation, early detection of what has been affected in the plantation, and it is treated or removed, it is going to help a particular yield, harvest to really be huge. Okay, so doing those smaller things. You may not afford a huge tractor or a harvester or what, but there are some technologies we can afford for our people. So, and they are used communally, like as a community. Not, of course, those who are able can purchase their own. So these are the things we have to start discussing. And also, number 2, we should also be able to understand what are these seeds that our people are using. Okay, has it become so expensive for our farmers to even use these seeds? Because traditionally we had our own seeds, that you can plant corn or maize, and you harvest what you can, but also spare some seeds. Okay, but the kind of the genetically modified kind of seeds that are coming, it is one use case. You plant, harvest, eat, consume, sell, whatever, done. Go back and buy what?
Buy
the seeds. And they are also very expensive. So I think, again, technology can help us to improve our own traditional seeds. The harvest may be small or something, but if you crossbreed them in a way such that the seed can be reused, you can use this seed again, then technology comes in to help us moving forward. So these are the things we have to discuss in this summit. Technology. How does technology advance agriculture for the people of Uganda, for the people of Africa? That's how we do better.
Well, that was a snip into what is going to be taking place in this country from the 9th to the 11th. That is the CADIP summit that will happen in Kampala 2025. And one of the most important thing the theme points out is building resilient agro-food systems in Africa. Remember, that is the biggest challenge. How do we have food systems that can withstand tough times? Food systems that can withstand the drought. And one of the areas focused on is how do we introduce technology or use technology to plan for generations to come when it comes to building resilient food systems in Africa. Professor, do we go back to the education? 2024 was a year.
It was
there was so much in the education sector that we can mention some of the highlights. One being the high school dropout rates. We are now into 2025. But if there is anything that shook me is when government released these dropout rates. Then also the other highlight was cost of education. Every year, I've just seen in one of the dailies this morning where it reported that schools have defied government and have increased school fees. Now, remember, this year we are having beginners, those that have been in primary, coming to senior one. Those that have been in O-level, coming to A-level. A-level, they'll be joining university. And even these infants coming into pre-primary. Now, let's begin with these two pressing issues that were in 2024 and are seemingly to shift to 2025, yet we seem no solution to them.
And they will go so in 2026.
I hope they don't.
Yes.
Most of that drop out.
So
yes.
that's the challenge that we have. Now, let's step back a little bit to 200 years ago. This education system we are talking about was never here. Okay? Not anywhere in the world. But the world has existed for how many years? Billions of years or so. I don't know. But it has at least been present for more than 200 years. And the people who existed before 200 years ago, they are the ones who brought this what? Education system. So that means in Uganda, the education system is not even 100 years old. Okay? So that means we existed, and there's something we did, and it's how we survived. And that was education in its own right. So now, why am I saying this? I want us to go back and understand how were we created to as a human being to learn. Okay? How do we learn as human beings? So as human beings, we are not created to sit somewhere and wait for instruction. That's not a human being. And if you want to prove me wrong, or if you want to see what is truth, get children. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. As long as this child is above 5 months, put them in a particular room and see what they are going to do. No one is going to sit there and wait for you to instruct them. Everyone will pick something, will try to do something, will try to interrogate it, will be curious, will be very, very anxious to look at this, and will turn it upside down. That's the human being. That we learn on our own. Okay? And so, the quality of learning, what we call quality of learning, advanced learning, is not what you see in the classroom where a sophisticated adult is standing or sitting in front of kids instructing them of what to do. No, that is not real education. That's why when we go through this kind of education, by the time we finish 16 years, 19 years, the system has educated our children very, very different, to the extent that they have lost creativity, they have lost any innovative potential, so they are just there waiting for someone to give them a direction of what to do. They can't think. So that means it's not quality education as we think. So that if something is of not quality, you don't spend so much money on it. Okay? So now what am I trying to tell parents? That amidst this wave of the two things you talked about, dropout rates, then the expensiveness, the cost, and of course there is even a report I think I was reading, I realized it came out in 2023, that the biggest burden Ugandans have financially, 40% of the families said it is the cost of education. 40%, the biggest burden they have. In sub-Saharan Africa, we are around like 52%, 54%. So that's huge. If your budget, 40% goes on education, that is huge. So now, this is what I want to share with parents, that there are times you are going to really stand up for your child and do the right things for your children. I'll tell you what are the right things. The kind of education you see today, it is not the quality education you're looking for. That's why 99 you realize, beginning with yourself, let's be honest, we parents, begin with ourselves. 99% of what we studied, we don't use. You've interacted with engineers, right? Have you seen an engineer, an architect, or anyone who comes to you as you and you parents, while you interact with these engineers to help you design or construct your houses, in the quotation you got, or in the conversation have you ever had him mention anything like a quadratic equation?
But that may be a build up to maybe what they get to. But anyway, I have a professor in studio.
No, but if this person was just practicing this, was on site, learning how to build from the best, that's the best engineer you have. It doesn't surprise you or surprise us that some electrical engineers, they finish with their degrees and they go back and use a person who went for vocational education to come and fix their electricity, whatever needs, right? Bulbs and everything. So what I'm saying...
And many companies would opt for someone who went for a technical institution.
Because they are practical.
Okay.
Because they have done these things. They have lived experience. They have touched these things. That's the life they lived. They know how to do it. So that's we are wired, what I said, with a child roaming around a room doing different things. We learn by doing. That's how we are created. God created us to learn by doing, not to learn by listening. So the education you're paying for highly is not how we are supposed to learn. No, we are supposed to learn by doing. So therefore, why I said that sometimes parents need to stand up for their own children, and this is how we need to stand up amidst the cost, amidst the avoiding dropping out. One, you need to understand that ask yourself, why am I spending 3 million to a child who is going in a boarding school? Okay? Now, you are attempting something that the effects of it, you live with them forever by extracting your child from a family, from a community, to take them to a place that is isolated, where there's nothing they're going to learn that they will use in their real lives. So now the battle is between what happens in the boarding school and what happens in the real world. So now let's compare these two, Mr. Chirabo and the viewers. And I'm sure, of course, that people who own boarding schools, they don't want to hear this, and I understand. They have invested a lot of money into this kind of system. So when someone has been deemed a criminal of the highest level, their offense is up there, and they have been tried by the courts of law, what is the highest punishment they get?
They are imprisoned.
They are imprisoned.
There's a prison sentence.
Okay. Sometimes it is 16 years or life. Okay? Now, what do we find in the prison? We find, one, do you get to eat the food you want in prison? No. Do you have to move out anytime you want to go and visit your people? No. Do you wear the clothes you like? No. There is a schedule that you have to follow, right? You wake up on a particular time, okay? And there is someone called a warden, sometimes even a matron, okay? So now, and then you allowed maybe some visits. If you have people who care about you, you come and they visit you maybe once a month, something like that. That's the what? The prison. Okay. And that is worse. Someone feels bad that I've been put in these conditions because they are not for normal people. Now let's come back to the boarding school. Do we have a matron there? We do. Do we have a warden there? We do. Are kids allowed to wear whatever they want? No. Are they supposed to eat whatever they want? No. Are they supposed to move out to that particular campus anytime they want? No. They have a person, one adult, who is running after them? Yes. All right? So, for 16 years, you're only allowed to go there and see them every month. Maybe they will break after 3 months, they come home, but you have confined them to something equivalent to a situation that deserves wrongdoers. Those we think they have really, really betrayed our country, they need to be kept somewhere until they reform. So are we saying that our children also have to go somewhere and reform? No. So therefore, that whenever you extract this child and you take them to a confined place, and they're not going to be productive to the country and to themselves and to their parents. Now look at this. If you kept your child here, this child and will go to a nearby day school, wherever it is, where you're paying 300 or 400. Out of the 3 million and you're paying 300, you're saving 2.7 million, right? Or whichever, even if it was 1 million, you are saving 700 or 600. This child will understand how coffee is grown if you're a coffee farmer, how cows are managed if you're a cattle keeper, how cows are milked if you milk cows, how you plant beans if you're planting beans, how if you own a small shop somewhere in a market, how you go there, how you start bringing fresh food for you to sell in the market. If you own a tailoring workshop, how you tailor different pieces. This person is following. If you are an engineer, how you really solicit for different deals, different tenders, everything. Your child is following. And they are going to be productive. When you're busy, you're asking your child to bring you your shoes. That's work. They are working. Shine your shoes. They are working. Listening to the pain you go through. They are understanding. They are becoming human. They are interacting with an adult, a senior, a young person. They know what happens in the community. But for us now, we are getting almost 70% of Uganda's population. And we send it in a confinement camp somewhere. And we say, oh, that's great education. So then, the country, productivity is only left to the hands of 30%, of which some of them are our seniors, they are the elderly, so they can't do so much. So, if we thought it differently, because if you look at other nations, now, meanwhile, we also expect aid, support, grants, donations from countries that are doing well. You understand? From multinational organizations, agencies like World Bank, IMF, and everything to support our education system. But the people who give us the money, those countries or those agencies, it is the taxes collected from the population of those people, right? Their taxes paid. That's the grants we receive. That's the aid we get and we pay back, right? But those countries that give us aid, no single child of theirs who eventually turns out to become a taxpayer goes to a boarding school. Not a single child, not a single boarding school. But for us, they give us the money to come and they then send our kids to the boarding school. So in other words, we ruin our generation to continuously go back for aid, to go back for loans.
Now, Professor, one of the things that comes out clearly is that we are excluding our children
out of an economy.
And out of real life.
Yes.
Yet when they come out, they have not had these experiences.
No, they come back with only 1% of what they will use in their real life.
What they have been studying.
Yes. Okay, 1%.
Now, I want to
and the person giving us help is not doing that. They are staying with their kids in their community. At 14, 15 years, a child is volunteering somewhere or is working in a convenience store, selling things, gathering experience. They are productive.
One of the things that shook me is when I was reading about the life of one of the former presidents of US, their daughter, who was working in a restaurant and washing dishes.
Correct.
And I was told, no, this is common for them.
No, to them,
no matter
like
which family you come from, you must get a job.
A child there at 15 years, they are in McDonald's, giving people burgers, washing dishes, sweeping, cleaning, earning something. At as young as 14, 15, 16. For us, a 15-year-old is in a boarding school until they exit university at 23 or 4. You understand? Those who are getting in late. Okay? So, do you realize the negative impact you have put on this economy?
And now let's also move to...
And we are and those people are the highest population. 35 and below, they are almost 75%. So, but you have kept them somewhere. They are not productive. So they are doing things that are not going to really help with this.
Because when we break off, some come with a lot of holiday package.
No.
Some are still going to study holidays.
When they break off, they have been compelled to think that they are so important that they can't grab a broom and start sweeping where they even dartened. They look at themselves as so much superior in society than the people they left behind. Because remember, you pay for them highly to go somewhere. So that means you treasure them. Okay? Despite the fact that when they come back home, in this kind of education system, they will be equalized with the person they left where? Home. The other child who didn't go to a boarding school but went to a day school. So they come back, they are looking for the same job together. Okay? So you, the parent who is spending 3 million, save the 1.5, go to a day school, pay 500,000, and save that money for the next 16 years. When this child comes back, finishes school, you have capital there. Or you have even developed and grown your business where this child can start from. Not to start running around people's built companies looking for jobs. And when they don't get these jobs, you say they are tribalistic, they practice nepotism, they are discriminating. No, but they made their money. They saved their money. So they are going to employ who they want. They are not government. Okay? So they have individual businesses. So please save your children, save the money, invest in your children wisely. It's better. And now I also wanted to touch the government part. Now that we know that someone is funding our education to keep us in a status quo that will make us, keep us beggars all the time, now government has to rethink this. Do you want to think? Do you want us to really applaud you that we came up with a great innovation called boarding schools? When the person who is funding our education sometimes has 0 children in a boarding school, 0 boarding schools, we don't have a great innovation. This is actually murderous innovation that is killing the curiosity, the creativity, the problem-solving abilities of these children. These children can't be supportive of our economy because they are isolated. So boarding schools, we need to rethink them. Bring back our children home. Even if they are sweeping, even if they are helping the mother to carry this cup of coffee to the other table, that is productivity in their economy. The mother would be doing something else. The father would be doing something else while these kids are supporting them. They go to school, they come back home. But there is also one important skill they are learning: emotional intelligence. Okay? The soft skills. They are learning how to associate with people, how to network with people of all ages, because that's the real life they are going to live in. Those are the real things they are going to do. It's not the quadratic equations. It's not the history of chasing the virtues that disappear at some point. Not the maji that paint themselves with sorghum. Those things, they are not going to meet them. They are going to talk to Mr. Chirabo today. Tomorrow they will meet His Excellency the President. The other day they will meet the Prime Minister of this country. The other day they will meet a person on the street. But they need to work with these people. So that is the education.
You've just reminded
we
me
have.
of saying that a degree can get you everywhere, but your character, your discipline will keep you there.
Now, let me even tell you something interesting that parents need to know. If and all of us, now, we go to these schools to show you that the things we study, 99% or 98%, we never use in life, okay? But the things we don't study, we use in all our lives. Now, you send your child to school from primary or to even kindergarten. But primary, study 4 subjects, okay? You go to O level, you study other subjects. A level, you study others, okay? And they give you a career. But that career, okay, let's assume you get it. You will retire from it at 65. True or false?
True.
True. You retire at 65. So you spent all this money to retire at 65. But there are 2 subjects they never teach our children. Viewers, you understand this. 1, there is no subject that is titled or that we call how to make money. You understand? It is not there anywhere in our curriculum. You study biology, bottom line, you know, at the end of the day,
if I'm a doctor, I'll make money automatically.
Money.
Yes.
That's what you think. But no one has taught you how to make the money. So they are teaching you biology.
My profession is going to make me make the money.
That's what you think. And that's why when they get out, they have the degree, but they can't use it. They were not taught how to use it to make money. You understand? So, number 2, when the student finishes school, university, and sits home, the parent, if there's a male or female, the parents will say, no, now you have started, you finished school, thank God you even have a job, get married. There is no subject how to sustain a successful marriage. You understand? Yet these 2 things, you will never retire from them. You will live life looking for money until someone dies. You will need money until we die to support us.
Now, Professor,
and then marriage expects you to stay in marriage
till
death does us what? Apart. You will not retire from. But which subjects are you supposed to teach these people? Those are subjects that you're supposed to have learned because you live with them. They are real life.
Now, Professor, let's go to high institutions of learning.
Now, before I go to high institutions of learning, let me bring it back to, I was telling you about government as well, that it has to rethink boarding schools quickly, right? But there is also something that is very important, that we have to remember that education is a public good. Okay? It is a right for every child. At least let it be a right from primary to the day you finish upper secondary, senior 6 in this country. Okay? Let it be a right for every child. So in other words, it should be mandatory for every child who is between P1, primary 1, to senior 6. It should be mandatory. So in other words, again, what I'm saying is that government should take over education. Now, leaving it in the hands of the private sector. I know this is not music to some people who have invested in it. Leaving it in the hands of the private sector, that's where the cost is becoming a problem. Okay? That's where the quality is also going to continue being very, very problematic. So government can take over the public good, the way government provides roads, the way government provides health. It is supposed to provide health too. The way government should provide defense or security. This is how you have also to provide this service called education. I know there's an argument to say that, okay, we are not ready. We have asked the private sector to really complement what we are doing. That's a valid argument, and I agree. But we can also embrace technology. that can help us to really shortcut ourselves into success in as far as access to education is concerned. For example, you may say you don't have the money to spend in the infrastructure, but if you invested in technology, like I said, access to internet, you invested in artificial intelligence, and then you adopt a policy, a one child, one gadget policy. For every child between primary 1 to senior 6 should have a not for sale gadget from the government of Uganda. What does that mean? It means that government, if this gadget, which you can, by the way, with good negotiators, purchase at 10,000 Ugandan shillings or 20,000 maximum. That's not a lot of money. You can bring Chinese to assemble them from here or any other whatever. I know we can't manufacture, but if with the intention, government can even manufacture from here. I haven't given up that hope. So if you have that policy, it means, Mr. Chirab and viewers, that you will never spend money to create a library for any school. No, the books are on the gadget. The curriculum is on the gadget. You will never, number 2, you're not going to buy books. The books are on the gadget. You understand? So you're not going to even invest in ICT labs. The child moves with his or her ICT lab computer. So you're going to save money massively. But you're giving this child a chance to become digitally competent. And when they can't afford transport to come to school, when early pregnancies set in among these young girls, when a bridge breaks and these kids can't really go beyond this river to go to school, as long as they have internet and the gadget, they can still continue studying at home. That's how we deliver education that is meaningful and works. And then digital proficiency or being AI proficient, digital competencies are given to every child of this country. You've saved money that we would have invested in the library, in the building of the library, in the building of the ICT lab, in purchase of computers that are so expensive. You've just bought one gadget, 10 or 20,000, and every child has one. You just have to figure out where do they charge these gadgets to continue learning. So if no child is going to drop out, very few, because they can study from wherever they are.
So we've beaten the dropout rate issue.
Yes, we are coming up with a solution. Number 2, under any circumstances, child is sick, child has become, unfortunately, has become pregnant, natural calamities have happened, and which swept away the bridge where these kids cannot drop out, can't drop out of school. So the onus is on us, like I said. It is all of us that have to really rethink this education model. The one we have is not working.
Well, Professor, today we've focused on 2 issues that dominated 2024. That was high cost of education and dropout rates. We must come to an end. Like I earlier told you, we have a summit that will be setting off on the 9th in this country, and that is the CADIP Kampala 2025 summit, and this is going to attract over 2,000 guests, and we're hoping at the Speak Resort Munyonyo on the theme building a resilient agri-food systems in Africa. Professor, I must let you go, but of course we'll have more time to discuss more of these solutions that are very applicable. Have a nice time. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good